Hello.
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 Well. I think everyone out here is probably coming in from the cold, the bitter winter chill or almost winter chill of people who are coming into the very first or second day of the season, a little bit before Christmas. And you know what? They need something to do. They need something to bide their time before the feverish light of commercialism lights their day.
Mm-hmm. And fills them with food poisoning.
Yep. A little bit of both.
Yeah,
So
a little bit of both.
It's still that high
Y'all
on
good?
holiday. Yeah, well,
that got dark real quick.
As you can see from my attire, I am not good. I am an unhappy man.
Dog, I'm a New York Met fan. I'm always unhappy.
I'm pretty sure the Ravens is an Edgar Allan Poe reference.
Yes, it
be a
is.
sports thing.
More.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I can't believe that Baltimore and is that Seattle team?
Seahawks?
Ravens.
No, Ravens are Baltimore, man.
Yeah, Ravens are Baltimore, man.
That's so weird. It shouldn't be like
because Edgar Allan Poe is from Baltimore.
Rhode Island thing.
He just died there.
Jack.
He just died there. That's it.
Jack.
Too long for
that was a pre-recording joke you just threw in there. No one's gonna. That's for us. New England supremacy, unfortunately. Anyway.
No, New England is the guy that shows up to a tournament with hand-picked dice that he knows rolls sixes just a little bit more often.
And you know what? He wins that tournament,
dice
Matt,
is different.
And he gets another ring.
Yeah, he does. And you know what? No one respects him. Anyways,
that's true.
So outside of that nonsense, fuck the Patriots.
Yeah. I hope you all are having a great holiday season filled with joy and cheer and happiness.
If you're listening to this and you're like, what are they going to talk about? Age of Sigmar, the Warhammer. Oh, it's now.
Well, yeah.
Thank you for indulging us.
I think we need to talk about the in lore Patriots of the Age of Sigmar setting, led by the Bill Belichick himself.
I mean, he's riding Tom fucking Brady. We know who Drogar is,
right? So it's kind of a good segue, I'd say. Like Archaon, it is kind of it's kind of
sure.
I'm feeling it.
I feeling it. I live like a 20-minute drive from that stadium.
Family, sure,
feels appropriate.
So I mean, that's my segue. I'm sticking to it. Let's talk about Slaves to Darkness. We talk about all the lists that we build with Slave to Darkness. We talk about how to make our little happy friends, the Dark Oaths, win. But we never talk about like Slaves to Darkness itself, right?
It's true.
Such a common army because it's another one of those like easy to learn, hard to master, right?
The models are great. And if you want to get the Stormcast treatment, they've got dudes in power armor too.
Yep. And even with all like the loss of the Warcry warbands and
so many units still.
The Soul Grinder and stuff like that going, the book has so much depth to it.
It's true. Even with that trimming and unjust trimming, I will add, that happened.
Yeah.
Still tons of flavor.
You can go horde builds. You can go extremely elite. You can bring at 800 at some point. God model and Archaon the Everchosen, who used to be a boogeyman all over the place, and now he's just got to chill. Yeah. Or you can take the crazy uncle that is Bellicor.
Oh yeah. The alternative, like the edgy edgelord demon alternative to Archaon. But it's fun, and I think that a lot of our listeners will have played Slaves to Darkness once, twice, thrice, maybe many times, because it is a popular army, and as Matt said, it's one which is easy to play, hard to master. So you see a lot of situations where they just fold, or something goes wrong, or they get wound up, and maybe their winner isn't so good, and then you see people pilot them to the top or having great success with them. I think most recently, person who won Everwinter might have been running Slaves to Darkness.
That feels right. And they always place good anyway.
He was the buddy of mine. I think I played Adam. Adam Weinstein, right? He did it right.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it's very rare that we don't see them top table, right? It's very rare.
He's very good. He's very good.
Yeah, they're close, and in the lore too. Like 90% of the world of Age of Sigmar, something ridiculous, is owned by them because there was the Age of Chaos, and then we come back with the literal Age of Sigmar being now where the game takes place, and everyone trying to take back their old ancestral land.
So, like, lore thematically, there's a reason they show up everywhere because they're really supposed to be like the rest of the map outside these 6 or 7 city states, plus like the other order enclaves.
Yeah.
But in practice, a lot of people enjoy them. They're not the only army out there, but they have a good representation. They're like the evil Stormcast.
They are.
So
they are. And again, there's so many builds, so many flavors.
Yeah, and maybe that's a bit we can kind of dive into today because we've all talked about them incidentally, but of course, I've played them quite a bit. Matt's played them quite a bit, so we can talk to some of what you can look for.
Played against them quite a bit.
Yeah, you enjoyed the occasional brush up, Rocco.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've played even Alex in one of our RTTs beat his Place to Darkness Be'lakor filthy whatever.
So let's
some kind of things. Yeah,
let's dive right in then. Be'lakor, he's everywhere.
He is.
Maybe
used to be everybody's favorite ally.
Let's start. I personally don't like him. I don't use him. I've only been trapped by him twice.
Okay.
Now, one of those being Jack, and I think one of those being one of our
Jack Ballard didn't get you one time with him?
No.
Oh.
This Jack did, though.
Yeah, that Jack. I know that Jack did.
Jack.
But yeah.
Be'lakor.
And we will get to what is the army, what are the traits and all that fun stuff. We just got to talk about the elephant in the room real quick.
The Be'lakor. Be'lakor probably is the biggest elephant if you're playing against Slaves to Darkness, because you probably had that experience, right? He's done this reach across the table with his dark machinations, one addition or another, and it's messed up your game plan. So let's just start with that. So before we get into any of the things they might do, any of these different variations of sub-factions or different styles of play, one thing you should know about Slaves to Darkness, if you've never run up against them, is that you have access to one very cool model. It's a big-ass demon print, so some decent things.
Beautiful model.
It is. And I even own him for 40K.
You have to. He has a variant build.
Yeah.
But the thing to know about this model is that, he's got some attacks. Yeah, some cool combat or positional abilities. Can maybe grant some always strikes first. But his singular ability, the thing you find nowhere else in the game, is the ability to just reach out and shut off an inconvenient unit for a turn. With a reasonably higher probability. And it's kind of meant to represent his Dark Master like manipulations, but current incarnation is if that guy is rolling around the table, he can just pick in your hero phase one of your units when it's his turn to activate, and from that point onwards until the Slaves to Darkness player's next hero phase, every time that unit wants to do literally anything to use an ability, roll 3-up. If it's a 3-up, doesn't work. So that can make some things a little bit unreliable. It can make some things very unreliable. If you would need to move somewhere, make a charge, and then attack, that's 3-ups. You have to make a run to get that to happen. But even something a little bit more reliable in this sort of context, like a shooting shot you need to take from a non-move, still is that 3-up. You can shut down some big thing you want to do pretty easily, and he can just choose to do it once a game anywhere. And this ability has been in play with Be'lakor in some form or another for probably like 4 or 5 pure mutations of the game. So it's not new. It's just
it's almost like a thing with time.
Yeah, age is like a fine wine, and you'll definitely see some players who use this as a bit of a crutch, and some who don't use it at all. But it's definitely one of the things which kind of stands out as a signature element of the Slaves to Darkness.
Yeah, if your friend says he's looking to start Slaves to Darkness, expect Be'lakor on the field. And then you can taunt him every time he rolls a 2 or a 1 by saying Be'lakant. And
absolutely feels bad when that happens.
Be'lakor.
I remember anecdotally there was one tournament I was playing with a Be'lakor, and I used the ability. I got a player friend of mine who was playing Khorne. It was a top table RTT kind of match, and so he had like a big boom thirster, And I think I tried to stop the Boom Thirster, and it went through 3 or 4 consecutive me failing the 3-ups to actually get its attacks off and like keep the game pretty close.
Yep.
So it does happen, but
no, it's that joke of my Be'lakor versus my opponent's Be'lakor.
So outside of that, if you're playing Be'lakor,
yep.
he's just there as a cleanup crew afterwards, right? So
yeah,
generally.
Still decent at fighting, ethereal 4-up save, good abilities. It's still one of the best War Scrolls in the game.
I would say, yeah, it must be. I mean, because honestly, if you drop the crazy ability, right? He's only like, what, 350, 400 points, something like that. So
I think he's 450 now, but yeah.
Yeah.
And he's still well deserved.
Well deserved because you
Very
think about
well
it.
deserved.
I know we're just kind of zeroing this one War Scroll. We can get to the rest of the army, but it's worth a shot. I mean, you have that ability, which is crazy, but the body it's attached to is not just like, like a half-dead corpse ready to deliver it. It's really good on its own these days, and that's not always been the case. He's a big monster, 14 wounds. He has the ethereal save, like Rocco was saying. He also has a ward save, too, these days. He didn't used to. And he additionally has a whole bunch of Rend 2 attacks with his Shadow Sword, so he can do some damage. He flies real fast, like 14 inches. And if he has a level 2 wizard, so you get that going for you. And if that wasn't all enough, he has an enfeeble spell built in, so you can give things like -1 to wound, I think, shut off their crits, this is an amazing package.
Yeah.
And then you'd think that'd already be pretty good. But to crank it up to 11 and say, why is this guy only 450 points, all the stuff he's doing? His control score 10. So he can literally hold objectives like a Gargant. And he has an ability where his clever plans are just so clever that if you charge him and anything near him, he gets to make a roll for himself and the 2 other units within his combat range, and they just get strikes first on a 4-up in your charge phase if you've charged into him because you fell for his trap.
Yep.
It's literally an army-defining War Scroll. It changes how you play the whole game because of what you can do with him. So kind of have to start with him as almost his own sub-theme. Are you playing Be'lakor or are you not playing Be'lakor? Because that is honestly a thing. When you're
it really is building lists. If you have the model, like well more than 50% of the time, I imagine he'll be in your list, right?
Yeah, no, again, he really is that good. As much as I'm being the contrarian this episode. I'm happy for the holidays and I'm sad for the episode. Well, it's a really good model.
And so that being said, now that he has a ward, like earlier editions, it used to be you could just funnel in as many attacks as you want and he would, tank them. Nowadays, it's a little bit harder, but he still does fall very quickly to weight of fire. So, like, he's still easy to shoot.
1,000 cuts.
Yep, still easy to shoot
with an elite unit.
Mortal wounds still do hurt, right? Because they're mortal wounds.
And he only has a 6-up, I think, against it, so it's not like he can deal with that very long.
Yeah, he's not sitting there and being a Nurgle person.
No. Only 14 health, so like he's not the super tanky. But yeah, no, he's an amazing War Scroll. So I would say a big part of the theme. But beyond Be'lakor, I think people might be asking, so what am I going to expect when I say Slaves to Darkness? Like what's the flavor of the army?
So man, I think
maybe someone with a book.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that.
So that's the interesting thing, right? The army has such a deep reach that you can make multiple themes, and if you're
like, I could think of maybe 5 different ones off the top of my head right now.
So one of the things that it does really well is also accepts Regiment of Renown. So like, you can fill in a lot of pockets that the basic army, or I don't want to say basic because they are still a terrifying army to go up against.
Yeah, even just a regular Chaos Warrior unit is just still so solid, which is why for over a year, Jack's been harping on the Skaven army of the Regiment of Renown to fit into his army. Because just adding shooting to such a solid defensive anvil that this army could be is so good. And then you've got builds where it's cavalry focused, where you've got even an Abraxia, you've got all of the when a space on them now, they get paired with Chosen all the time. You know them, you love them. Say
the Varanguard.
There we go. There was also a chariot build that floated around for a while because the chariots were so cheap, but their base sizes were so huge. It's great area denial.
Yep.
There's a lot of flexibility in it, but I think if you're listening, you're saying what is the deal? What's kind of the general contour? It's potentially very scary combat is a big part of it, right? That's like your Iron Tin Men, right? And you have certainly the sub factions which go away from the Iron Tin Men and they go into the numerous hordy bodies of the Darko Savagers or Conans, right?
Yep.
Then you have kind of like your Chaos B Team mutants and misbegottens, which are kind of like the Ogroid Therodons and some of the monsters, the Fulmroid Crushers, and all that stuff. And you can sort of mix and match across all these things to get a good effect. But you probably got to be seeing one of three things for Slave Darkness Army out there. One, super elite stuff.
Yep.
Varanguards, Chaos Chosen, Scary Dudes, Chaos Warriors, Chaos Knights, all the above. You're going to be instead maybe seeing the other one, the Dark Oaths, which are like all sorts of hordes. The Gribblies and Fiends with some Janued bodies and some very different mechanics. Or you'll be seeing one of the armies of renown, which is Bellacor's army.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is the Legion of the First Prince, where you basically have a whole bunch of weird demons who can only play in that one subfaction with Be'lakor and a couple handpicked units. So kind of three flavors, but the one thing that I think they all have in common is that absent the Regiments Renown that Matt had mentioned, that are kind of like a key way to round out and erase these issues. It's not an army that's going to have a ton of teleports. You're not going to have people popping out of the sky and lightning bolts or coming through backfield or crawling out of an owl. Like there are some ways, but you have to really work for them to get something where it's not supposed to be. It's a little honest, and it's generally going to come across the table at you in that way.
That's why a lot of people like playing them. They are an honest game of Warhammer that generally needs to run at you.
Yep. Exactly. And it's fun, right? Because that they're coming to get you, but they're not going to show up 3 inches away and then just somehow cheese into it. It's going to be like, no, they came over here to charge me.
No Destiny dice here.
They came to brutalized.
Yeah, honestly. Exactly. We brutalize honestly. Yeah. And the other thing is shooting. If you don't count Regiments Renowned, shooting in the army is very woeful, though it's not completely gone. It's one of those things where you might see an occasional hawk javelin or a spear, but that's about it. There's no like ranks of hell cannons or super demon archers raining down hell. No, it's a bit more like, are you within 9 inches and they have a stray shot that might do some damage? Haha, that's where we're at. So honest in the combat focus or magic focus or abilities focus too.
Yep. Slaves of Darkness comes up to punch you in the face. And then if that don't work, they're going to punch you in the face again. And if that don't work, then they're going to do it again.
And there's a good chance when you go to punch them, they'll be at a 3-up save.
That's maybe one of the big themes people think of, right? Because I think when folks have that default Slave to Darkness memory, they're probably thinking Chaos Warriors or Chosen or Knights or something like that.
Yeah, or the Knights, and then you get Varanguard that can get down to a 2-up, and you're just like, all right.
Yep, and Varanguard tend to be the big bads every edition for like a good year and a half, too.
Yeah, which they deserve. It's a unit of 3 that you pay like $100 for because the models are so detailed. They should be good. The models are so sick. They're ripe for conversions as well. Of being even, you see the fallen Stormcast or Chaos Feathered Stormcast of having that heavy cavalry dream come through over and over again. It's a theme that works. They're models that are great, and let's talk about quickly some of the rules that make all this possible.
Yeah, lay it on me.
Yeah, let's describe. So maybe the way to do this would be to just talk a little bit about these key war scrolls, because these are the ones that were kind of the boogeyman. But then we got to talk a bit about like what can juice them to 11. And I think Enu has actually played against the army in the last like year and a half will probably have had one version of this, but admittedly it has changed quite a lot since the index and the battletome and everything like that. But it's been
what unit's the delivery system for the ouch.
Exactly. Well, let's talk about the Boogeymans. I think the Boogeymans are the chosen of the Varanguard.
Yes.
In that way. So like
honorable mention Therodon.
Oh yeah,
but they're not as popular because
newer spice.
They're always number one for me.
And Matt, you're not the only person I know that plays a Therodon-based army, let alone like outside of the podcast. There are in the lovely state that I haven't shouted out lately, Michigan. I know in the Midwest there's a Therodon meta. Maybe because they think they're ogres, so they're like, oh, this is, destruction, retirement adjacent enough. But in all seriousness, great models that hit like a truck.
Yep. Yeah,
they really do have it going on, but I mean, I think they were just overshadowed for a long time, right? I mean, like there was a good period of time, the recent years, where like the Chaos Army for a while, the one that was winning like a lot of events, was basically chosen the Varanguard, packaged around a hero or two, just run up and clean the house.
With Be'lakor, and we've already covered Be'lakor. So hit me with Varanguard.
Let's do
If I have to say
first.
it one more time, I'm sure someone's going to be like, okay, why?
Oh, yeah.
Give me a rule.
When you hear the Varanguard, you really do have to remember that this was scarier before, I think, the Power Creep of the edition and some of the other rules that came out to make this less menacing were there. Yeah.
I think it's still really scary.
I mean, it is, but it's, I don't know, I personally think it's not as scary as people think it is. But you have a unit of 3 essentially mounted Chaos Lords, right? Because how strong they are, which are the Varanguard. And they're like basically Archaean's super knights. And you have a 10-inch move, you have 5 health of body, 2 control of body, and 3 of save. What do they get for all that? Well, they're the melee weapons. Daemon Forged Blades, 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, Rend 2, 2 damage, which have charge plus 1 damage, but most critically, crit mortal.
Yep.
And, they got some companion weapons, of course, from the steeds, 3 attacks with a 4 up and a 3 up to wound, and then Rend 1 on 1 damage. But the thing which makes it scary for people is those Daemon Forged Blades, coupled with their abilities, where they have a once per game fight twice, sort of thing. So they can do the deal where they get that delivery up there, do tons of damage, and pile in twice and erase things. And that is no mean thing. The other piece, which kind of makes them pretty potent, is that these guys do have the ability to get marks, and that's something we haven't talked about yet. But the big signature ability of all the Slaves of Darkness is all these guys are the hapless fools following the Chaos Gods, and at some point when they're dire straits, they just shout out an oath to a Chaos God. They finally are in some sort of circumstance. They feel like maybe that they need Nurgle's help, or Corrin's, or Siege, or
they go, witness
or they're just feeling it. Exactly. They do the chrome.
I will kill your enemy.
Witness me, and then all of a sudden they're pledged to something. So you get to do this once a turn, and that gives a passive ability, which is good with stuff like the Varanguard. One of them's like get a 6 of ward save. That's Nurgle. Not so exciting. One of them is be able to do a long charge, like you roll 3d6 and pick your 2 favorite dice. That's for Slaanesh. Good. Right? It used to be better. It used to be 3d6, which was a menacing time.
Yeah, a little bit too much. I'll say it. I'll say it.
I would agree. That was a little too much easy button. There's another one, Siege, where you get tricky, and you can literally either before or after run do a teleport and show up like 9 inches away from stuff, kind of erratically, which is very weird, but very Siege-y in that way. And then you have
super fun.
It's super fun. Then you have Corrin, just give +1 attack on all your melee profiles. So that would make all these Varanguard 4 attacks very commonly done. And that means that you take 3 of them and you're getting 12 3 damage attacks, kind of wherever you want, with high rend and crit mortal. And that is why they're taken. You pay an armor leg, though, because that would be 640 points these days for just that unit.
Yep. And the fights twice, I believe, is only once per game. So
that's right.
Just to put that caveat on there. So 1 turn, you can take 6 of these and just break anything's back.
Very likely it just goes away. And you can use the pile-in to do that twice.
Yep. I would actually... Like, I would doubt Archaon's survivability if they all stood up against him. with that fight twice. So like they are, just to kind of like set that in stone, right? Nagash is not going to have a good time against these guys. God models do have the possibility of just getting popped by 1 unit of 6, or it's very certain if you have 2 units of 6 coming in and just laying it in on them. At a Ren 2, it's pretty good time. That being said, they do have a weakness.
Oh yeah, their weakness, of course, is being damn expensive. For one, for two, they don't have any ward, no way to get a ward outside of their own mark, which is real tough for them.
Yeah, it makes them a little bit squishier than a lot of people realize when they're rolling up with, what is the max you can get in a list? I think it's like 12. No, it's not 12. It's something just a little bit higher.
For what?
You roll them with, oh, you mean like the number in our list? Yeah, it's like 15.
Just like maxed out.
Yeah.
I mean, even 12, that's 1,300 points ish. You're not going to have much else to do, and they're definitely good, but they have the weakness, which is kind of the Slaves to Darkness mix we talked about, which is what people listen to podcasts playing against Slaves to Darkness who generally remember, which is they play the game generally pretty honest. Maybe some tricks or tips, that the opponent might get about things they might be able to break that rule. But typically these Varanguard, they're not going to show up 4 inches away and just be there. They're not going to like murder lust into you. What they're going to do is they're going to run up with their 10-inch movement and try to charge you. And the bag of tools they have to get there is maybe a better charge, maybe a 3d6 charge off a spell, maybe that Slanesh mark. But if you just have a screen there, they will have to go kill that screen. And that's the thing to remember. Their weakness is they can't break the rules of the game beyond a certain point.
Yeah. And to further like multiply that pain point, like because they're so expensive, that means that their footprint on a board is so much smaller. Meaning if you want and you have like the hordes to do it, which if you have a well-balanced list, it's fairly easy to do. You can send them off after 80 points of something to take them off an objective if that's all they really have in the army, right? And then the rest of your stuff can do the rest of the work.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, there's a lot of great ways of like standing up to them. Facing them off a charge is not one of them. Yeah, I've generally found in my games that the easiest way to beat them is to put the cheap things on objectives and let them think that they're going to win by going after the bigger things, and just have more cheap things than they have units,
That's exactly it. And you can sometimes just find them in the position of needing to be somewhere to do something, which, they're so expensive for that role. They could have been a thing, a third or fourth their points to do it, but they did have to be there. That's like sit in this objective or screen out that thing, or in the prior editions, go claim a tactic and be near the flanker.
Now, there is one thing to like notice though, if you're in game and it does come in, and that's they excel at power through because of their wounds. So they can get an extra move if your opponent is savvy enough to like save that CP. So that's always worth like looking at. But that is a general tactic for actually using them to get across the board a little bit more than you would expect, or be a little bit more unpredictable and provide more
for extra movement.
Yeah.
And there's also a saying, you're not really an SCD player until you've used Varanguard to screen.
Break that down for our listeners.
Yeah. Just describe this one, Rocco.
Yeah. Because, again, it is such an elite army, and there are going to be times where you're like, oh, I really got to protect the Chosen. I really got to do other stuff. This pack of 3 Varanguard. Okay.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It really is you just never have enough stuff if you go too elite. And that is that army we're talking about. Like here's your 6 Varanguard, here's your 10 Chosen, here's your Bellacore, and you have just enough left for 5 knights. Oops, I'm done. And you have no margin for anything dying to win the objective game, and it gets real dicey real quick. But actually, let's talk about Chosen. This is the other menace unit that was kind of up there, and you kind of sounds like peanut butter and jelly. We talked about Be'lakor a little bit earlier, but Chosen are essentially Varanguard on foot.
Yeah.
So 5-inch move.
Yep.
3 health a body.
Yep.
1
5
control,
of them in a unit.
Save. 5 base. Of course, you reinforce to 10. So
everyone reinforces to 10.
Yeah, 10,
what you do.
10 Chosen's like the standard, like the metric unit by which chaos armies are measured generally.
It is.
And why are they good, you might ask? Well, they have the exact same once a game, any combat phase. I choose a double fight, I declare it, I'm going to go crazy ability. Their profile is 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, rend 1, 2 damage, crit mortal. So here you're going to get, with your 10, you're going to get 30 or 31 attacks with the potential output of all that crits. Mortal, it's seriously damage 2 and all that. It'll weaken the rend department, but again, you can juice them up however you want with all the different marks, and typically these 3 attacks become 4 when someone's doing their corn thing, and you're off the races. So
and then you fight twice. The 41 becomes 82, and then you're crit fishing, and you just melt whatever you touch.
Yeah,
but that they have the same weaknesses of Varanguard. This is what I always tell people: mortal wounds, but also so elite.
Oh yeah,
so hard to get any of them back. There's really no recursion. So if you kill a Varanguard, that Varanguard is definitely gone. Same with the Chosen, kind of. I mean, you're right. 3 wounds means you're unlikely even to get more than 1, if you do a rally. So without a ward save, that 3-up is good unless you get peppered by a spell or shooting or something charges in you and some kamikazes away. Even some little Doom Divery, Doom Player Wheel, comes in for 80 points and takes 3 of them down.
It's just, even if there's 3 dudes and one of them's the unit champ, they're still killing stuff.
Yeah.
That's definitely the scary part. They will earn their points back if they can get into melee to touch something.
Which is the key 5-inch move.
Yes, that is.
Oh, go ahead.
No, that's it. That's where you get builds where, you bring the endless spell that's the bridge where you can kind of teleport them and try to set them up for a charge. You've got builds where you throw Slanesh on them and they're, more guaranteed to charge. You've got, there used to be ways to get them to run and charge to make up for that I don't know if that still exists anymore. No, I'm saying
I don't think there's a run and charge these days, but there's always been something. I mean, I think
you find your way. There's something.
So let's pause on that, because that's if you're playing Slaves of Darkness, you'll get kind of rarefied, tricky play from certain people who do weird offbeat lists. But if someone's kind of rolling with this kind of thing, Varanguard, Chosen, what is the Chosen thing that's going to happen to you?
I do need to clarify for those that have listened to us for a very long time and have heard the ridiculousness that is Matt Davidson and our lovely friend Jack here go on about their niche chaos lists. This type of list, being Chosen and Varanguard and then maybe some Knights, is your stock standard chaos list.
Yeah, we definitely avoid that. We're the hipsters of chaos. Yeah,
it gets a little boring after a while because the book is so massive and everything is so good. But how does the normal thing work, Jack?
Well, the normal classic cookie cutter you get is you would definitely have Be'lakor, the shutoffs. You'd have the Varanguard and the Chosen. They'd probably start kind of near Be'lakor, so that if you were foolish enough to charge one of them on a 4-up, they're going to hit you first, which is real bad with this kind of list. And when it comes time to kind of get them off to fight you, they might do one of a couple things. And this seems to be true even if you only see the 10 Chosen to diversify the list a bit, so it's not just the ultra elites. It's going to try to get there before you can get to it, because you're hitting them first is bad, right? But these guys have incredible killing potential at a precision blow. So you might see just the 3d6 charge spell cast on them from the lore. So someone gets that off, they get a charge of 3d6. That means, in worst case, they move up their 5 and they charge you. Yeah. Or maybe they get marked Zinch and they move up their 5, then they telejump 2d6, and then they charge you.
You'll also see a lot of the. Oh, sorry to cut you off. You'll also
go ahead, man.
see a lot of the fights last spell if your opponent is really savvy and they are more on a foot list. If they have a sorcerer hanging around.
Oh, and you're coming to them? Yeah, 100%. And that's a good way to keep them from getting someone dropped on them if you're that close in the hero phase.
And that will keep them more survivable too. So
it's true, but even if you're just talking ultra aggressive chosen, there's more things that you should look out for, right? I mean, there's the Pokeball, as it's affectionately known, and then there's also the bridge. So someone could bridge chosen over after having cast a 3d6 charge spell on them, be 9 inches away, have a statistically very high chance of just getting where they want to go. Or someone has a Gaunt Summoner and they cast that spell, which lets them pop whatever's in the Silver Tower within 18 inches, 7 inches or farther away. So then you drop the chosen right there.
Yep.
And I think they can move and do it.
I think they stopped it so you can move afterwards. But still, the thing is, but if you're going to Gaunt Summoner on Disc of Tzeentch or even on foot for this, like what we said with our Tzeentch episode, it could be risky because as soon as that Gaunt Summoner's dead, there goes your unit. So if you're going to go that route, this is more of an Alpha Strike, low drop type of build you're going. But generally, with this more traditional chosen Varanguard and a hero build, there were times this could fit in a 1-drop.
Oh, absolutely. And that would be like the super tight grouping. You think about it, if you had the Be'lakor, you had the 6 Varanguard, you had the 10 chosen.
Yep.
Right there, you're 1,500 points plus.
Oh, easily 1,500 points.
Yeah, a couple more things to screen or round it out or get objectives, and you're done. And then you have that choice. But yeah, I mean that's like the alpha, utterly aggressive version of it. You might see more variety, but that's
I have a list. I don't know why I have a list. It's Be'lakor, a unit of reinforced Chaos Furies, a unit of regular Chaos Furies, a unit of reinforced Chaos Knights, and a unit of reinforced Varanguard. Someone told me that was some sauce because the Furies can fly around and grab objectives and all the cavalry runs you over. Comes in at 1950, so you get a CP. And again, that just, if you want to flop out some Furies and some Knights and throw in Chosen, that could be how easy it is.
I mean, sometimes it works. I mean, that's the list, I think, that people learn Slaves of Darkness against. It comes up, it hits them. Then you see all the other stuff later, but it follows all like the classic strengths and weaknesses. Strength hits like a ton of bricks. Weaknesses can't be everywhere at once.
Yes,
can get screened.
And it needs to win almost by just tabling people, which isn't something we promote here anyway.
Exactly. You run try to speed bump.
Yeah. If screening comes back in vogue, this kind of list dies out because, like we said, you just feed them small units while you hold the objectives, and that's it. But if you want the Ride of the Rohirrim there, it's viable. It's doable.
Yeah, and it will probably more than 50%. If you're piloting it well and you're making the right decisions, it will win you games purely on that list build alone.
Yeah, and lower model count.
Yep, very dependable. You can spend a lot of time building, converting.
Prime it silver, so then all the trim is done, and then paint the insides of it.
Or you can do it very quickly. Yes.
Yeah.
It's there's a reason it's dependable for tournament play, right?
Yeah. Travels well.
Yeah. So I mean,
that'll fit you, carry on.
So that one, like that list, I feel like I've run into it forever now. But there are, the unsung heroes, I feel, of a lot of those lists are actually the Chaos Knights. Because they do great support. They have 4 wounds each, 3 and up save again. ward, but you're not expecting that anymore. And they're just consistently solid now. If you pair them up with their mounted lord, then you're getting some very good fights twice.
Yeah, and that is
even if you don't
really
have a
big
fights
thing
less.
with this.
Yeah.
Between the debuffs and I'm sorry for talking over you, Matt.
No. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's enough fights twice in this book. There's a fight immediately after.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many ways for a melee army to make sense and to actually get to do all the killing. Dice be damned, because you'll roll 80-something dice by the time you're done. Eventually, it'll be dead.
Laws of averages. Although, I mean, I don't know if law of averages will ever abide my days. One day, maybe. But
you're a unicorn, Matthew. You're a unicorn.
I'm a very special man.
They definitely have that going for him. If you want it to be dead, it can be dead.
Yeah, it can definitely be dead. And it can be dead very quickly. Mm-hmm. But while they are kind of the bread and butter of a lot of what we see on tournament lists, there are actually some really, really good alternate units that do pop up from time to time. One of those being Ogroid Therodons.
Yes.
And their Myrmidon cousins.
Yes, I guess which leaders, can also be another elite build, which works really well.
Now, those guys actually do suffer from the same things that the Chosen do, right? So they're slower. They do hit like a truck, but they hit like a truck in a different way. They have the ability to just overwhelm with accurate attacks, extra rend, and they fight into infantry really well. And their wound density, their sweet, sweet wound density. 5 wounds. Yeah, 5 wounds each. I think it's 4 attack space? I can't remember.
Oh yeah, the Therodons, man, just always bringing it. I mean, 4 attack space, 4 up, 2 up. Run 1 base, but run 2 if it's infantry, because that's infantry, right? And 2 damage.
Yep. Yeah. And then you can pop them to once per turn, having an extra damage going. And then
once per game.
Or sorry, once per game. I said the wrong words there.
It's so much better once per turn.
That would be so dumb. That would be so dumb. So once per game, you can make them just go off, and that's each unit. Yeah. So if you time it, if you want to play your chosen list with a little bit more finesse, I'd highly recommend them. Because they're a lot of fun, and they're actually kind of, to me, they feel more points efficient.
Definitely more points efficient these days. Yeah. I mean, think about it. I mean, these leather lists we're talking about, and you have your super expensive, good tin cans, but those are only ever going to be really a 3-up save outside of getting one specific mark, which is the thing they give. Let's say for the sake of survivability, 3-up, 6-up. Those chosen are 30 wounds for like 500 points. The Varanguard are like 30 wounds for like 600 something points. Yeah. So really the points efficiency is really low. And these Ogroids, 30 wounds for I think 360 points these days. So the comparative steal, but they can actually be kind of weirdly tough because you can get it so that they did the mark and nurgle anyway, like the other chaos guys could. But there's a artifact in the subfaction which lets the non-chaos warriors guys near them get plus for their ward saves. So they're nurgling because of a 5-up, which means these guys come 4 or 5-up, which adds a lot because there's stuff in the game that turns off wards. It's hard to chew through that it is to have high rend and just ignore the the armor of a chaos warrior or a Varanguard.
Yeah, there's another way of looking at it too that I feel like as opposed to armor save based armies, wound density on an elite unit like this is actually interesting as well. I used to kind of run into this mentality a lot when I was playing my Beast of Chaos because I love Dragon Ogres, right? And the reason I love playing Dragon Ogres is because you'd have to chew through all the wounds to lose the density of attacks, right? So when 3 wounds come in on a Chaos Chosen, you feel it right away. When one guy goes, you feel it. And so that means like a lucky sorcerer, just like a bad turn of rolls, a massive amount of rolls, something like that, has a fairly decent chance of wiping the amount of attacks out, right? So those hordes coming at you and just forcing you on ones, fairly decent attack. Let's say they pull 10, they get 6, that's 2 chosen off the board.
Yeah.
That's how many attacks again? That's 9 attacks? Or no, 6 attacks, right? 6 attacks, potential 12 attacks.
6 that could be 8 plus stuff because of different buffs flying at them. Yeah.
With the higher wound density on the Therodons, that means that like if you have 6 wounds come in and the Therodons can't break it, that's just you're down 4 attacks. That's it. You've still got the rest of those guys swinging. And there's like a little hidden thing about just having more wounds on a model that there's just going to be a little bit more survivable on the clap back, even if, or a little bit more lethal on the clap back, even if they, have, it's a smaller size unit, et cetera, et cetera. It's just a weird thing that I noticed, that their lethality is more survivable than a lot of units that they get compared to because of the wound density per model, which is interesting and kind of why I like Therodon.
I think that's fair. I mean, there's also a whole bunch of interactions, which might be on the scope of our kind of like, let's talk about the general swaths of Slaves of Darkness between those Myrmidons and them kind of upping their game. But they're definitely another one of those beater units that you have to kind of be aware of. Another one I think might just be worth highlighting because it's so emblematic, or maybe the duo, right? It would be the Chaos Warriors and the Chaos Knights, because those kind of round out like the tin can army that you're going to see most frequently. And then, of course, everything else, these interesting sub-factions and so the other units can lie below the surface and some quirks you might see. But the Chaos Warriors are, again, 3 up armor, 2 wounds, 10 guys. So you have the 20. They're going to sit there, for really much at 10 points of wound basis or slightly better these days on an impressive profile of 2 attacks, I think, base and 3s, run 1, and they're off to the races. And these guys, of course, can just be like you're almost archetypical. I have a strong armor save and I am a good fight evil guy unit's been around since the beginning of fantasy. So there's all here. And things to know about them they're still good.
Yeah, and they even better now. They've gained a role. In earlier editions, Chaos Warriors were just okay. We're gonna have we're gonna sit on objectives, and hopefully this will work, right? Previously, they did have wards for certain things. You could assign them wards, et cetera, but it meant building into it, meaning an already expensive unit got more expensive, right? So nowadays, they actually do have an interesting role in that if you're contesting an objective, like just this unit does output more damage because you get an extra attack if you're contesting an objective you control. The great thing about controlling an objective is if you have 10 Chaos Warriors and you have a banner in it and your opponent only has 10 control points on the objective that you're charging, you can get +1 attacks. So like it's actually a very interesting way of getting off extra damage on the charge instead of just being a dependably defensive unit. They may not they may not outnumber anything all the way, but like once you start, adding other units, which you're going to want to have support if you're going to go charge something with Chaos Warriors, because they're dependable, but not dependably great, right?
Then it's exactly that. Not flashy, but yeah. They're real solid, and I think it's worth noting that they do have a role now. It's sit on an objective and control, and then they're going to be great. They're going to have all this extra attacks. They're going to be hard to dislodge. There's like I've got to keep alluding to other tricks in terms of like the special banners that we have access to, or other things you might do to make that like really menacing to you too. But I would say the meat and potatoes of like strong infantry are these guys, and of course you pair those with the mounted counterpart, the Chaos Knights. Mm-hmm. And those are similar in theme, just a bit faster. They're equally chalky. And then, they're a cavalry unit. They have 4 wounds, all rather than the 5 on that 3-up save and a 10-inch move. So your 5-man unit you get base is already sitting at 20 wounds. Mm-hmm. And they're just slightly killier in the charge, but, also the cavalry kind of get worse if the charge doesn't land. We're going to get them where they need to go. Yep. You have the 3 attacks on the charge, the 3s and 3s, rend 1, damage 1. Of course, they have +1 damage in the charge, and they have an ability which gives them +1 rend in the charge. So typically, you're going to be getting rend 2 damage attacks on the charge, and this is kind of what makes them good. They run up, they go where they need to go. They're hefty. They can charge and do some damage. They can sit somewhere and also take some damage.
Yep, and another thing about this too, like just like Stormcast, they accept buffs really, really well, right? Because they're so dependable already. Like any buff you give them cranks them up to 11. Like so, they're really I actually enjoy them more than I do Varanguard because I like more units than 3 units in my army. They're also they have the ability to punch above their weight for a lot of situations that they can be thrown at. Also, the fact that they're cavalry means that there is a lower amount of anti coming at them, right? There's tons of anti-infantry in the game. There's very rarely do we run into anti-cav. It's speckled throughout the game, but it's not as prevalent as anti-infantry, meaning these guys are going to be more survivable off the bat than Chaos Warriors would. So yeah, I love the Chaos Knights. I think they're probably one of my favorite units in the book when I think about it, outside of Ogroids, for sure.
I think they're awesome. They're awesome, and it's really emblematic when you see them there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that those are probably the big ones. I mean, everything else is great, and there's so many different flavors you can go into. We even talked about the Dark Oath, but as we kind of noted earlier, those are the unusual Slaves of Darkness picks, or the less common ones. We get the Gripplies and the monsters. I think for our listeners, we should break this into a 2-parter and kind of get into some of the offbeat choices a little bit later. But we should round this one out with some of the other likely to see classic Slaves to Darkness, elements. What do you think we're missing, Matt, from those?
Oh man. It's really funny because like when I run into Slaves to Darkness lists, it's really just those. But Abraxia has become a very big part of a lot of people's plans.
Yeah, and she's also in that mold. She's a big Varanguard themed hero. Maybe we talk about her.
Yeah, let's lay it on.
All right, so Abraxia is like the captain of the Varanguard, kind of the second in command to, Arcane classically. And there's 2 versions of her. So, you could talk about either of them. Functionally, there's only one you're going to see, which is the Soggy Abraxia. Mm-hmm. But they're both good. They're both kind of beady, independent monster of a hero kind of situations. For the sake of this one, I'm just going to talk about the Soggy one because I think that it's much more compelling and more scroll.
Let's go through Sogs.
Yeah. So basically, the Soggy Abraxia is a really interesting unit because it has a roll of 330 points to get this thing, and you get a 10-inch moving giant iguana riding Varanguard with 14 health on a 3-up save with 5 control. Things which make this better than typical Varanguard comes built into the ward 5-up. So right there, doing pretty good. Also, the melee weapons are kind of fun. She's got two things going for her. One is her spear, an accursed weapon called Gorbolga the Accursed, and then her weird iguana mount, which apparently is called the Thanatorg's Claws and Fangs. Now, what does Gorbolga do for you? Well, 5 attacks on a swingy 3/3 profile, but it's Rend 2 and 3 damage. And this thing doesn't like heroes, so it's anti-hero 1. And also has charge +1 damage. So if you're going up against some other monster hero, these 5 attacks are on Rend 3, 4 damage.
Braxia?
Yeah, Braxia.
That came back at the right time.
Oh, yeah. And then you talk about the mount. If that doesn't get it done, the iguana lizard thing has 6 attacks. Companions, of course, some are limited, but they hit on force, the wound on 2s because of monster. 2 Rend, 2 damage. This is a profile that can do absolutely nothing for you, or it can just lift everything if you just can roll a couple of those sweat-inducing dice moments. But that's not really what gives this particular war scroll its awesome roll. It's a good beater duelist, but also has a fun one, Champion the Undivided, where if you are nearby a unit which does not have a pledge to KSK word, and it's not unique, you can give it +1 to Rend. Well, it's a contestant objective you don't control. So this is the one, unlike the Chaos Warriors, that's supposed to go fight on an enemy objective. And that kind of continues. Her spear, if she wounds something, you can pick once a turn that thing to have a maximum control score of 1 for the rest of the turn. So custom built to flip an objective from anything in the game. If it's 1/1. You make it score 1, you've done at least 1 damage, you're a 5. Ipso facto could be 1,000 control score normally in that objective, you get it. Also, let's say she's taking some damage, gets to heal D6 while she's contesting an objective you do not control, which critically you do before you flip control of the objective. So free heal of a reasonable degree. And if that wasn't enough, if you wonder, well, how easy is it for this model to get to those objectives and do stuff? They have one of those romp around abilities where after they've charged you, you pick an enemy unit you're fighting, you do D3 mortals, and then you can roll 2D6 and move that amount of distance to end up somewhere else as long as you're still in combat with any unit. So that gives you the movement you need to kind of go steal objectives with this particular unit, which is a great companion piece to the other things, which are sort of dark iron tin cans.
Yeah, it's funny because like her war scroll feels like it should be what 2 giant cave squigs chained together act like, right? Like everything that she does feels like it should be a gets bouncing freaking pair of squigs with a war boss on top or something.
Very true.
But her ability to buff units around her just takes everything up. And that's where like even knights is just like a basic thing. Varanguard obviously just become complete monsters. There's nothing that's going to survive them when Soggy Abraxia is on the table, right? Very few things already did, but like that's very much guaranteeing very little to no armor saves on almost any opponent. OBR quakes in fear at this, right? So, I think it's just one of those things that if you don't have the model and you've been thinking about it, make a conversion, make sure you're on the right base and try her out. I think she is, excuse me, she is terrifying. But also like, don't underestimate the model itself because it's such a toolkit that it may not look like it's getting much done, but if it even just does a little bit of work, that could start like chaining out into much bigger effects later in the game.
I've often found really that to be true. Yeah, there are games she's a pivotal piece. If you play her, you'll calibrate into this. If you play against her, you'll notice that the times she gets thrown in like an all-conquering solution to half an army, she dies. The time she bullies and does like her job to flip 1 or 2 objectives and lock something down, she just excels.
She's very good, very deceptively good.
And in the lore, she destroyed the Phoenicium, and I, as one of 3 Phoenicium lovers, will hate her forever.
That's true.
She also doesn't wear a helmet half the time, so
it's crazy.
Like
too many horns, real tough for her.
Almost became a flesh eater.
That's true.
That would have been an amazing model, like a crossover demon flesh eater Varanguard. Oh my god, the ghoul in her would have been a sight to behold. But I think we've almost hit all the big war scrolls for that side of the army. But there's one we haven't even touched. We have to just make sure we give it its deference. And we're talking about the Dark Pig Iron Classic Chaos Warriors. We're going to come back to part 2 and deal with stuff like Dark Oath and the funky Fulmoroids, things like that. And that is Arcan himself.
Oh, the big man.
Big A.
Oh yeah. So time is a flat circle when it comes to Arcan. There was a time he was in every list. There was a time he was in no lists. Then recently there have been some very funny hero hammer builds where he's once again present. Those lists have done well, but typically the things you need to know about Arcan is he is oppressively powerful, at least he's supposed to be, and he's oppressively expensive. Both those things remain the case. If you see an Arcan on the table, not only is the list going to be small, it's going to be small by Slaves to Darkness standards because you can't afford much else. This is an 810 point model, but he really epitomizes all the other stuff we talked about. It's a monster. It's Arcan riding this crazy demon dragon thing with multiple unclean one or greater demon heads. So it's a 14-inch move, 25 health, 10 control, 3 of save beastie.
Yeah.
So what do you get for all this? Well, he's got a pretty crazy melee profile where his beastie has 6 attacks with 4s and 2s, rend 2, 3 damage. Spicy. Swinging with a 4, but still very good. The heads have 3 attacks, 3s and 2s, 1 rend, 5 damage. And
because of course they do.
Oh yeah.
Of course they do.
And I will say that this melee profile is markedly better than the one that existed prior to the book and the index. It was like a little bit toned down actually last edition. And then the Slayer Kings, this is his big special demon sword. Only 4 attacks, but it's 2s and 3s, rend 2, 3 damage with anti-hero 1 rend, and it has a fun ability where if 2 of those wound rolls are 6 against the hero, you just automatically destroy the hero. So pick it up, no need to worry. Like you fight in the gash, roll 2 6s, the gash got eaten by the sword.
Which is actually really nice. It means you can bubble wrap your heroes if you're going up against him, and he's gonna take a turn, unless you're playing Hero Hammer. In that case, say goodbye, friend.
Exactly. And he's got a couple of toolkit abilities. One where you pick one of the heads from his mount and you get to do a thing in the combat phase. Everything from spewing some mortal wounds to trying to heal by eating something, but kind of a roll over their health characteristic, double their health characteristics thing, or just eating manifestation with almost no roll. Got 2 up. And all that is kind of built around another one of the game breaking abilities, to go with the other one with Bellicor, where because he has the Eye of Ed Sheeran or Shirian, you can, once you're battling your hero phase, roll the dice and then replace the priority roll of the next battle round with whatever that dice happens to be. So you can't have any choice in it, but you just know what's coming. So if you roll a 1 to 3, the opponent has to take the first turn. On a 4 to 6, you must take the first turn of the battle round. So this is an interesting thing because then you can kind of know if you're going to get a double and avoid the consequence of a double because it isn't a choice you're making at that time. So you don't have to drop like a intercept target or make them the underdog or any of that stuff. So it's really quite good. So yeah, Arcan is a big beater. Obviously, has his weaknesses. I think he natively does have a 5 up ward save, so he's very tanky. But again, 800 points. He can only be so many places at once.
Yep, and that he's also a wizard too, right?
Wizard too, fair amount.
Yeah.
As well as being a demon, as well as being a warrior of chaos. So anything that you bring in is probably going to buff him. And that's the cool thing about this. The other thing about him, I would say, is that because he is a wizard, because he has 2 casts, like he is actually, I think, one of the rarer ones outside of what's his name? We were just talking about him. The
Bellicor?
No, the Silver Tower. Outside of Bellicor
the Gaunt Summoner.
And the Gaunt Summoner that have like actual ability for sorcerer dominance. And he will wreck anything he goes into. Like there's not much that survives him. Like maybe another god model of his size. And so like you don't really see it but like he is capable of doing multiple builds. You can do a horde army with him as the lone like thing crashing into stuff.
That's true.
But also he suffers from your opponent also taking Be'lakor. So remember, debuffs hurt him extra hard.
Oh yeah,
any debuff, -1 to hit, -1 to wound, spells that have your charges or runs, things that freeze you in place, or even just the ultimate debuff for this 810 point model is having to be in too many places at once.
Yep.
Like his absolute nemesis are 3 units of 50-point goblin squads at 10, sitting on 3 different objectives equidistant from him, and he has to get 2 of them.
Yep.
They already won.
Only be in one place at a time.
Luckily enough, his base is so big that you can use the power through trick. If you are trying to seriously take Archaon, you can potentially wipe a unit by taking it right on the left flank, killing them all off in one turn of combat, except for one, hopefully, and then powering through and making it over to the other side. So you do kind of. That's where the 4 and up to hit on the companion attacks is actually kind of nice because you get your free movement out of that. But that being said, like he's a giant point sink monster, suffers from all of that, like Jack was saying.
It's
God
true.
forbid someone brings anti-monster shooting as well.
So there you have it. So the tin can side of the army, super elite, super fun.
Yep.
Super small in number.
And
so what do you...
Well, the one thing to add on to all of this, right, is that it's still a toolkit army. The marks of chaos will allow you to adapt to your situation. So, like, they can all be whatever you need them to be in the moment. If it's a long bomb charge, if it's I got to tank this, or if it's I got to hit this. There's so much adaptability in game that Slaves to Darkness gets that no other army really does. And that's what makes them a lot of fun to play. Is like if you have a situation, you're going to go ahead, reach into your, godly pockets and pull out the fist that will punch that situation out. So, yeah.
I think it's a fair statement.
Yeah.
Well, this is a good spot, I think, for us to have our momentary breath. But we're going to be coming back with a part 2 to talk about the other side of the Chaos coin, because where this army really shines, is a little anticipatory prelude, is if people start expecting just what we described, and they get the whole mess that we're going to talk about next week.
Indeed. And I think from there, we've come to a good place, have we not?
Yeah,
exactly.
Have. About time for that last word.
Last word. What could it be? Will it be Cheerio?
Oh, I think it's Sigmar Live.
Sigmar Live.
Hello, everybody. It is Rocco, your boy, coming at you once again with another Always Strikes Last promo. That's right. Ring that bell. Leave a like, a subscribe. On whatever platform you're listening to us on, be it YouTube, be it Podbean, whatever you got these days, so you can keep up to date. Don't forget, we have a Patreon if you want to, give us a thank you for all the stuff we put out. That gets you into our member-exclusive Discord. And if you want to be an even bigger supporter, we've got a merch store.